Di tutti i grandi megatrend che hanno contribuito in questi anni alla crescita dell'economia è la globalizzazione, quello su cui l'impatto del Covid-19 e della pandemia avrà gli effetti duraturi e strutturali più importanti. Cosa cambierà dopo che alcuni grandi trend come quello del turismo e del commercio internazionale, così come quello della globalizzazione delle catene di fornitura, vengono messi in discussione dall'apparire quasi sorprendente e istantaneo di un'epidemia come quella che abbiamo vissuto? Ne parliamo oggi con Parag Khanna da Singapore. Parag, stratega e politologo, uno dei più influenti pensatori al mondo, che con i suoi libri in questi anni ha cambiato il modo di pensare il mondo, dal libro Connectography al secolo asiatico fino all'ultimo che si intitola Ripartire dalle città-stato. Parag Khanna è nato in India ma è naturalizzato americano, oggi ci parla di Singapore. Welcome Parag Khanna, and good to talk to you again.
Likewise, very good to see you.
Allora, partiamo dal tema della geopolitica e quale sarà l'impatto sulla geopolitica e la geoeconomia e sulla globalizzazione di quello che è accaduto con il Covid-19. Qual è la sensazione in questo momento che se ne ha in Asia?
Indeed. Well, before the pandemic broke out, globalization was moving in a direction that was increasingly regional, North America, Europe, and Asia, rather than mostly global. So that is going to accelerate. Think about the difficulty of international or transcontinental travel. Think about supply chains and the push to have more local or national or regional self-sufficiency. Those trends point towards greater regionalism and slightly less globalization. So that was happening before the pandemic, and it will accelerate after the pandemic. But if you think about these three mega regions of the world, North America, Europe, Asia. North America is very slow growth. We don't even know when the US-Canada border will open. Europe also, similar situation. At least there is a push now towards a fiscal consolidation and fiscal stabilization rather than just a monetary union. So there is evidence that Europe is learning from crisis, but it will not grow anytime soon. And then there's Asia, which has grown and will continue to grow in the time ahead, given the size of the population and the markets. So the question is, to what extent will these regions deepen their integration? And the region that has the most to benefit from deeper integration is Asia.
Beh, innanzitutto la Cina ha un grandissimo ruolo per quanto riguarda l'economia e la globalizzazione, è stata una dei protagonisti, ma insieme alla Cina tutta l'Asia è fatta anche di altri paesi che hanno reagito in maniera diversa. Come si adatteranno a questa nuova situazione, Parag?
China is the largest economy in Asia. Almost all Asian countries have China as their largest trading partner. At the same time, they have ratified just last November, before COVID-19, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership to liberalize all of their trade internally so that many countries will start to trade more with each other and not only with China. And now, of course, after COVID-19, there's the recognition that it is dangerous to have too many of your supply chains concentrated in China alone. So there will be a big push for Southeast Asia to benefit from its lower wages and bring in the supply chains. The Southeast Asian countries are also members of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. There's growing free trade agreements with Europe as well. Let's remember that Singapore and Vietnam now have free trade agreements with the European Union. So I believe that what will happen moving forward is that more and more supply chains will shift out of China towards Southeast Asia, and you will have a much more distributed picture of economic activity, not just China, when it comes to production. And this will be a very healthy response to the over-concentration of supply chains that we've had prior to the coronavirus.
Ma la globalizzazione, Parag, era già iniziata a entrare in crisi prima del Covid-19. In particolare abbiamo assistito a 2 anni consecutivi di guerra commerciale tra Trump e Xi Jinping, e poi abbiamo visto come i due paesi abbiano iniziato a creare delle infrastrutture separate, diverse. Ci sono 2 internet oggi al mondo, quella cinese e quella del resto del mondo. Ci sono 2 sistemi 5G, ci saranno 2 sistemi perfino GPS, i cinesi sono pronti. Ecco, che cosa ci dice questo sul futuro, su quello che sarà la globalizzazione in futuro?
I do not believe that we will have 2 systems or a new Cold War. I think that it is very convenient for people to fall back to this rhetoric, to this language, because we are familiar with the past of the Cold War. But let me point out some very important differences. First of all, as I said before, we are in a tripolar economic system, not a bipolar system. The United States does not rule the European economy. The European economy is larger than the American economy. Furthermore, the role of the European Union in global trade, so we have competition systems and we have collaboration in Eurasia, and we have the United States increasingly as an outlier. There is no one American technological standard that the world is going to follow, even the non-Chinese world, because we can see in Europe the huge push to strongly regulate technology companies, whether they are American or Chinese. Then we have to bring into account the role of India. The law of technology diffusion is pushing innovation in AI and in many other areas towards India and other competitors. So rather than a world where you must choose Google or Baidu, we are already today in a world where many companies will simply have India do their back office artificial intelligence functions without any risk of their data being compromised. So we do not live in a world where there are only two technology choices. We're in a coalition to ensure that 5G systems are developed not just by China, but by Japan, Sweden, Finland, the United States, and other countries as well. So technology is a constant arms race, the most rapid kind of arms race, and we cannot extrapolate today to tomorrow or the next day and suggest that there will be only two systems and standards.
Beh, innanzitutto con il suo ultimo libro Connectography aveva definito questa, la connectografia, la nuova geografia. Si intende che le infrastrutture che consentono ai dati, alle persone, ai capitali, all'energia di trasferirsi in giro per il mondo sono le nuove linee che disegnano il futuro della mappa globale. Ma al tempo stesso oggi vediamo che quelle linee sono tornate a essere i confini nazionali. Gli stati si chiudono, gli aerei sono a terra e questo viene visto come un segno di protezione, di difesa, di sicurezza. Come vede il futuro da questo punto di vista?
Yes. Well, you know, it is comforting to believe that we can simply put up walls and borders and be self-sufficient, but we know that's not true. In fact, the COVID virus has proven the opposite. We are so dependent on connectivity that we have taken it for granted. Just think about the issue of food. We have seen that food supply chains have broken down because of the coronavirus, and countries have struggled to import enough food for their populations. Now, that cannot be resolved by putting up borders. Quite the opposite. We need to build more connectivity in our agricultural supply chains. Look at medical devices. We've seen that our medical devices come from all over the world and mostly not from ourselves, except for China and Japan. It will take a very long time for countries to actually build a strategic national capability in some of these very fundamental and critical areas like healthcare and agriculture. And remember, the truth is that most countries will never do it. They will never try. They will never have enough capital, nor enough talent. So the truth is that we are going to have more and more connectivity than ever, but we will be regulating it more in order to make sure that we have a strong national stockpile for emergency situations.
Ma quale sarà l'impatto per gli investitori e per le imprese? Sentiamo molto parlare di fenomeni di reshoring, il ritorno più vicino ai propri mercati degli impianti di produzione, di nearshoring, un'altra versione di questo, ecco, anche di modelli di business basati su produzioni locali per i mercati locali anche da parte di aziende italiane. Come vede Paracane il futuro da questo punto di vista?
Let me give two conclusions on this issue. The first is the distinction between essential and non-essential services. This is one of the most important divides that has emerged. We have realized that the essential services of logistics, of healthcare, of digital connectivity, we cannot function without them. Those sectors, those employees, those companies need to be given more latitude, and we need to actually pay workers more who are operating in those critical sectors. So the industries that need more support in the future and where, as an investor, you should be leaning is the essential services, because we have seen what a poor job we do at maintaining high standards in those areas. The second emphasis that I would make is on what I call the green shoots of growth. What are going to be the high growth areas? So one obviously is digitization, data centers, broadband, software platforms, cybersecurity, also climate resilient agriculture, right? And climate resilient residency. So people will want to live in areas where you have a high quality of life, fresh air, the ability to do social distancing, these kinds of things. So real estate that is in areas where a quarantine is a more pleasant experience rather than a dense urban environment is going to appreciate as well. Labor automation also, because companies don't want to be trapped with their manufacturing output or production going down if they depend too much on physical workers. So automation technology will also improve. So there's a number of these sectors that I think are going to benefit quite strongly moving forward. And we're already starting to see investment moving into those areas. And the most obvious one, of course, is biotechnology, right? Whether it is the investment in pharmaceuticals and vaccines and drug research, or medical devices that can be 3D printed or manufactured locally.
Ma detto questo, come cambierà la mappa del potere economico e politico dopo la pandemia dal suo punto di vista?
Well, as I mentioned before, we are going to be in this tripolar world for a long time into the future. I cannot imagine a scenario where America is not an economic and geopolitical superpower, where Europe is not continuing in its path towards consolidation, or where China simply collapses. That's not going to happen. So this is a rigid multipolar framework. However, we will still have a lot of penetration between them. Why? Because actually, these are fairly saturated markets. And so in order to expand, in order to grow, they have to continue to export and to penetrate each other's regions. So there will still be some degree of globalization. However, as I said, these anchors, the United States, European Union, and Asia, representing about 1/3 each of global GDP, Asia actually a little bit more. That is the economic map of the world today, and it's also the economic map of the world tomorrow.
Ma abbiamo parlato in passato con Parachan anche della posizione del nostro paese, dell'Italia, al centro d'Europa ma anche al centro del Mediterraneo. Quali sono le sfide e le opportunità che si aprono per il nostro paese?
Within Europe, there's a recognition that countries have to become more disciplined fiscally, focus on export-related industries, and increase their output and productivity, loosen labor regulations, and so forth. And so those lessons do apply to Italy as well. Some of the work around banking sector reform and so forth. And of course, immigration policy, how to reinvigorate the population and have a stronger labor force to modernize the country and maintain the infrastructure assets and so forth. So there is a recognition, even if it is an uncomfortable one, that countries like Italy have to step up on the discipline and on the organizational capacity of the state, and in a way act a little bit more like Germany. This does apply internationally as well, because of course, as you know, I have supported Italy's membership, should emphasize much more its Mediterranean geography, its linkages historically, and its competitive advantages as an industrial, innovative country in design and engineering and other sectors, to actively, much more aggressively sell its skills and resources in alternative energy, renewable power, and many other areas to the countries of Asia. So I strongly believe that Italy should be as aggressive as France and Germany and Britain are being when it comes to leveraging and exploiting these fast-growing markets, and that will create jobs, generate situation. The European consolidation that is underway does benefit Italy, so I do hope that the pragmatic government that you have now is going to continue to work closely with the European Union. I hope that this spirit of compromise in Brussels and Frankfurt will remain as well, because there's no question that Italy's interests are better served from within the EU, but also that the EU's new push to connect to Asia, to demand reciprocal market access from China, and to pursue its own initiatives to compete in industrial areas is also going to benefit Italy.
E allora, grazie ancora Parag Khan. Sta lavorando a un nuovo libro. Su che cosa sarà questo nuovo libro?
Yes, I am actually. It is about the war for talent between countries. I'm focusing on the human geography of the next generation. I'm looking at the world population under the age of 40, and I'm forecasting their movements, their migrations over the next 20 years. And the answer to that question actually is going to determine which economies are going to survive in the 21st century and which ones will fail.
E grazie ancora, è stato un piacere. Parakan, buon lavoro e a presto. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.
Grazie.
Grazie.